Hey everybody, it's me, Chris. I'm back over here in the kitchen. Today, I'm going to show you how to make a great fall recipe. We're making pumpkin spice pancakes. Let me show you my ingredients. And guys, I'll post this full recipe in the description, but let me show you what I got. So I got 2 cups all-purpose flour. I got here some kosher salt, a little baking powder, some baking soda. I have some cinnamon, pumpkin pie spice. I have vanilla. I got 2 eggs. I got a 1/4 cup of sugar, 2 tablespoons of butter. I'm going to melt that. I got the pumpkin here. This is a 15-ounce can of pumpkin, so I only need half. I got 1 1/4 cup regular whole milk. And to cook these, always I'm using clarified butter on the griddle. And guys, go check out my video on how to make clarified butter. And so the first thing we do when we make pancakes like this, you want to get your dry ingredients combined and your wet separately, and then we'll mix them together at the end. So I got the baking powder here. I'm going to do 3 teaspoons. I got baking soda. I'm just going to use 1 teaspoon of that. Now my pumpkin pie spice. Now this can have quite a bite to it. So if you're making this for kids, I'm using 1 teaspoon. I think that's the perfect amount. You could add more if you want a bit stronger taste. So I'm just doing 1 teaspoon of the pumpkin pie spice. And I'm doing half a teaspoon of cinnamon just because we love cinnamon. And then the last thing is just a teaspoon of kosher salt. All right, now some people like to sift this when they make pancakes. If you have a sifter, that's fine. I just use a whisk just to get it combined, break up any lumps. Guys, and now for the wet ingredients, I'll put my eggs in first. I got a nice big bowl, so I got room to mix this. And, you know, with your eggs, you either want to crack it on a flat surface, or what I tend to do is crack them on the side of the bowl. It just comes out a lot easier. All right, next I'll add the pumpkin. And again, it's half a can, so it's 7.5 ounces. All right, and then next I'll add my vanilla. I love vanilla, so I add a little extra. I'm going 2 teaspoons. And now my milk, that's just whole milk. All right, I have my sugar here, and this is just granulated sugar. You could add half and half regular and brown sugar. And then I have my 2 tablespoons of melted butter. All right, now all you do, guys, I got my same whisk that I used for my dry ingredients. I'm going to get this going. I want to make sure I get it really, really well mixed. All right, guys, and this looks good. It's really well combined. I made sure all my sugar got dissolved off the bottom, scraped the sides a few times. All right, so this is ready to go. And now all you do is just add your dry ingredients right in here. And you'll start to bring this together. All right, guys, and the same deal here. You really got to make sure you get this well combined. You want to scrape down the sides. All right, and it's nice to use a glass bowl because you can look at the bottom, see if there's any flour stuck there. But what you got to do is decide what type of pancakes you want. So if it's a little too thick, you could always add a little bit more milk. If it's too thin, you could add a little bit more flour and thicken it up. And, you know, when it comes to pancakes, if your batter's thin, you're going to get little tiny thin pancakes. The thicker the batter is, the taller your pancakes will be. So really just a matter of taste. I may just thin this out a little bit. I'll set it aside. I'll get my griddle ready so we can cook these. So my batter is the way I want it. I did thin it out a little bit with some water. So before I bring my griddle over, I want to show you what I like to do and make it easier. Well, unless you have one of those little pancake dispensers, I like to use a measuring cup. So I'm just going to fill this up, and then I'll set up my griddle, and we'll get ready to cook these. Guys, so my griddle is nice and hot. I'm going to melt some of the clarified butter. And you really got to try this, guys. If you like pancakes, if you make a lot of breakfast, even just for sauteing vegetables, clarified butter is just, it's really just the butter fat extracted from the whole butter. And what it does is it doesn't burn. So you can heat this over 400 degrees and it won't burn like butter does. All right, just spread this out evenly. All right, guys, so I spread my clarified butter out evenly. And by the way, if you ever wondered why your deli breakfast sandwiches taste better than yours, it's because they use clarified butter. All right, so we're ready for these pancakes. And what I tend to do, if you're using one of these electric griddles, you know, usually the hottest part is over here by the element. So I'll start further away because This way they'll cook at an even pace. And here's why I like to use the measuring cup and a spoon. You can just pour it right where you want it. And then I use the spoon just to spread it out a little bit. All right, so for these size pancakes, I'll probably fit 6. You want to just give enough room. All right, guys, and what's nice about pancakes is it's easy to tell when they're ready to flip. You'll start to see a tiny bit of browning around the edges, but mostly you tell because you'll start to see these bubbles pop through. But if you're not sure, you can just give it a little peek, just check underneath. And then when you flip them, the key to flipping them is to not move slowly. You got to be really confident, just one fluid motion and turn it over. And that's how you can flip them without getting them stuck. And then you see sometimes this little bit splatters. It's all right. You just tuck that in. It'll cook. And what I like to do, now once I flip these, you see some extra butter here. So I kind of drag them through the butter. All right, just give them that extra flavor on the other side. And guys, the great thing about these electric griddles, and by the way, you can go, I have a video, I posted a review on this model, but the great thing is that they're a really gentle, even heat, so you really can't, it's hard to burn stuff, but just keep in mind the second side always cooks a lot faster. You don't need to leave it as long. So if you look underneath, you can see, yeah, these are already done. All right, guys, so this is what it looks like. So I got 12 large pancakes, about 5 inches or so. And these are ready to go. I'm going to show you how I like to plate these up. All right, guys, so very simple. I got 2 pancakes here. I got a little bit of my maple syrup. And then some nice fresh whipped cream. And then what you can do if you want to add a little extra flavor, either some of the pumpkin spice or a little bit of, just a tiny bit of cinnamon on top, just to really set it off. And this is what it looks like. All right, guys, so these are ready. Only thing left to do is just give it a try. Wow, and guys, these came out incredible. They taste like fall, they taste like the holidays, and it's not just for breakfast. In fact, the first time I made this recipe, we had it for dessert. You're absolutely going to love these pumpkin spice pancakes. Go out and get your ingredients, and you got to try this one. Hey, thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification button so you don't miss out on our future videos. Thanks for watching. I'm going to go finish my pancakes.